There we go. Oh, wait. Did it work? Yeah, it did work. Okay.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah,
thanks for the show. Friends and enemies, this is the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. It's a little bit of a snafu. Not our fault. Maybe it's my fault. Let's blame me. But no, it's just some software issue.
That's weird. So the CBP Media Network account on Twitter doesn't work. Neither does... I don't know. Yeah, CBP Media account or the Canadian Bitcoiners one. Both of them didn't work. I don't know. Try again. Let's put them on. Let's see if we can get it to go again here.
It says it's live now.
Yeah, people are live, but like it should be live on Twitter. Anyways, friends and enemies, God bless you all. Welcome to the show. A little bit of a hiccup there. My name's Joey. That's Len. Big day today, 70K. What do you think? Feeling good? How are you feeling?
Another day, another dollar. It doesn't matter where it is, to be honest. I'm just more happy that I could still buy, and it's not like through the to the moon, right? Like the
What's moon for you? When are you not going to be happy? You say this all the time. This I can still buy, it's still cheap. When are you going to be? You're not sure?
It's hard for me to say. I'll know when I know. I don't have a specific number, but when I have to spend 4 digits to fill up my grocery cart. Like when I go to, to Walmart and get grocery and it's going to cost me $1,000 or more, I think I'm in a pissed off mood. And I think that's the point of time where I'm kind of pissed off that I can't exchange that for a lot of Bitcoin. Now you could exchange 1,000 Canadian for a decent amount of Bitcoin. When you're getting, 30,000 sats, wouldn't it be good?
I'm happy.
Whatever number that is.
This is good. We're at like 69.9. It was 70K a little earlier. I'm sure we'll get back there. Market's starting to price in a little bit of a Trump victory, which is nice. We'll talk about all that though.
Yellow says happy.
It is happy 69,420. Yeah, we did cross 69,420.
My wife took a picture of her block clock and just random. She didn't. This was not like she was like doing this on purpose. But if you could see here the number, it's darn close. 69,400. Yeah. It's like I was laughing when I saw that. I was like, it's so close.
Strong effort from Mrs. Len there.
She didn't try though. She just did it as like just random shot.
No, it's good. You love to see it.
She loves her block clock, by the way.
We'll talk about all that. We got a lot to discuss tonight. We got a chock full slate, a slate chock full, something like that. Anyway, sponsors, EasyDNS, best place for you to host your content. Mark is the friendly neighborhood registrar you have been looking for. What is there not to like about EasyDNS? There's nothing on that list. What is there to like about EasyDNS? That's a long list. They got lots of stuff going on over there. If you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, you can do Bitcoin nodes, Nostr relays, all these good things. We talk about it every week. Outstanding opportunity there. If you want to get into stuff like that, Mark will help you. If you want to buy a domain, Mark will help you. If you already own a domain like Sailor and want to bring your domain over there, Mark will help you with that. You can set up an email server to go with your domain. You can set up a website to go with your domain. There's a pretty easy plugin we use. I think it's like a WordPress spinoff.
It is WordPress. Maybe?
Yeah, and like we use it. The times that I've actually written something for the website, it's so bloody easy to do. There's really no reason not to be doing it, and I've like really enjoyed the times that I've used it. Although I use it very rarely, if at all, these days, unfortunately, because I'm too busy and only about to get busier. And as well, you don't have to worry about your content being taken down unless you are running a racist spinoff group, which Mark did tell me to say he had to take someone down for the first time in a long time last week from EasyDNS. Not allowed to do that, which we understand. We support that. No big deal.
You're not immune from being taken down.
No, but you're not going to be taken down for saying something that is unpopular to the regime. Is that fair? That's fair. I think.
Right.
And
right. If you have 3 consecutive letters, maybe there may be something good.
Probably not. Right? Probably. So we're happy to be partnered with Mark and the team over there at EasyDNS. Don't forget, protecting your domain also important. Mark has DomainSure on board there at EasyDNS, which we've been learning a lot about over the last little while. It is a great service and one that you will appreciate if you own a domain. I promise you that. So go to easydns.com, 50% off your first round of buys. So load the cart, boys and girls. And go support the sponsors. Len, second sponsor. Who we got?
Bull Bitcoin. Load up on some Bitcoin using Bull Bitcoin. Why not? Because the price, as we're looking at it, is going up. So yeah, you may want to buy now, and tomorrow will be worth more. Next month will be worth even more. Next year, a heck of a lot more. But whatever you do, Bull Bitcoin has you covered when you want to buy on-chain and Lightning. You can sell also on on-chain and Lightning. Now, as for the fees, I just took a look at my node right now. It's 4 sats per VByte was the last block that was mined. So still very cheap to use on chain. Totally recommend people to still do all your buys and sells on chain for at least for the moment, and then build up your Lightning stash on the side when it's time, but it's not quite ready yet. Either way, bull Bitcoin, you could do your buys and sells with on-chain and with Lightning. Also, you could pay your bills. Look, the price of Bitcoin is now approaching 70K. It hit 70, I think, earlier today. It just touched it. Why not start spending it?
It's there now.
Yep. There you go. Like, so, pay some of those bills, right? Like, you've been laxing on, not paying off those credit cards. Why? Because you've been stacking corn in this. Like, I get it. Everybody wants to do that, but now it's time to pay it back, right? So you don't want to get liquidated, and well, Bitcoin will help you pay your bills with all that Bitcoin you have stacked over the years. Also, you could buy gift cards. What's cool about this is because right now in Canada, it's very difficult to start spending your Bitcoin in the real world. In fact, most of the world is very difficult to do so. So they give you the opportunity to buy gift cards. So you could use your Bitcoin to buy gift cards and then spend those gift cards in the real world. Look, people have been buying Bitcoin for the past while. Hopefully, price has been going up. So you made decent money on it. This is an opportunity to start spending it if you want to have a circular economy style. If not, just buy and stack. You're good to go with bull Bitcoin. Use the promo code if you do that and you fund your account, set it up. $21 will be added, and they're non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange, non-custodial. You have to provide your Bitcoin address once you buy. If not, they're not going to execute the buy because they don't hold your Bitcoin, only you do.
Totally. Third sponsor, Decentral Technologies. Len, we got word from Jonathan that the bid axes should be shipping this month or November, I think.
November.
Right? November. So tiny delay because you guys are overwhelming them with orders. So, the good and bad about being a CBP sponsor is that you will get a ton of business. The bad is that it will push all your dates out on the curve. No problem. If you ordered a CBP bid axe, you will get it. If you haven't, you should order one soon because they're going quickly. I don't even know if there's any left. I'm not sure. I didn't ask, but we love Decentral Tech. Why? You can do the CBP, you can do the bid axe, you can do the whatever. But if you want to go hard in the paint, like Waka Flocka used to say back in the day, get an actual like S19 miner, set it up in your garage, heat your house with it, dry your clothes with it, annoy your Karen neighbors with it. They got your back. You want to get some stuff repaired? They got your back. You want to do some simple mining? They got it. They even do some hosting, not their bread and butter, but they'll help you with that too. Basically, anything you need to do with mining at your house, John and the boys can help you out. These guys are best in the business, best in class, like all the CBP sponsors. We hope you go over there, buy a miner, support the cause, decentralize the hash rate, man. That's what we're about over here. And keep your wife happy while you do it. Can't beat that, can ya? So, sponsors out of the way. Do you want to do housekeeping? We should do some housekeeping. Why don't we do a little housekeeping here? Last week on the show, I talked to our good friend, Mike Campbell. What a show. Mike's always such a treat to talk to. And Len, you know this from having guests on. Oftentimes you'll stay and talk for 5 or 10 minutes afterwards just to, tie a bow on things and say some stuff that you want to say on the show, but couldn't for whatever reason. The guests often do that. I know I often do that. Mike and I were talking for close to half an hour after we wrapped up about a lot of things that are going on for both of us these days. And I got to say, without going into too much detail, he's really become one of my favorite people in terms of my online comrades. That's kind of a dirty word, but you know what I mean. And I want to thank him once again for everything he's doing over in his world there at Mike's Money Talks, and for coming on the show last week. And then Wednesday this week, last time we spoke, I said this was on Tuesday. It's actually on Wednesday this week. Ben Rabidou coming on 7:00. Him and I will be discussing all the latest and greatest in immigration, housing, Canadian economics, and I'm going to push him into Bitcoin. I have to ask him. I mean, he's, I think, pretty young. He's got to be in his 30s, maybe early 40s. So I'm interested in hearing what Ben has to say about all these things going on. We've seen a lot of, dare I use the P word, Len, pivots from the regime in terms of immigration, in terms of economics, in terms of a number of things over the last month, 2 months, as it seems like they're ramping up for an election. And Ben was early on a lot of issues in terms of calling them, in terms of pointing to the shortcomings of some of the policies. And so I am positive that we will have a productive and interesting conversation on Wednesday night.
Next week, Joey. If we can, we can. If we can't, we won't. But there's going to be an election on Tuesday evening, we can, if there's interest, maybe do an election day show.
I doubt it. Do you really want to?
Why not?
I don't know. I don't really want to, but I could be
So
convinced,
you
I
don't.
guess. Yeah, I don't really want to.
Look at that, folks. He's the one that doesn't want to do it. So there you go. No election day special. Too bad.
We don't have anyone booked next week, do we? Do we?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. So it could have been a duel because we have both the BC election still going on. It may take.
It's
months, if
over.
not years.
It's over.
Officially?
That's what Global's saying. Global's saying it's NDP.
Oh, that's hot off the press. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, maybe like half an hour ago I saw it.
Okay, well there you go. Are you shocked?
Come
on,
I
don't know. No.
I mean, I still though, like BC is the hotbed of all the piss poor policies that the progressive left has been championing for a decade or more at this point. And you would think that the stove is hot enough that these people are tired of touching it, but I guess they have to burn themselves down to the bone before they make a change. So, let's go another 4 years, I guess.
Yeah,
like, here we go.
Yeah. There's more bones, so it's keep burning. If you ever get, the reality is like it's the way winds blow over there.
Yeah.
Right. Like the BC is a left-leaning province, and so they've elected another left-leaning government, but it's a minority government at that. So there's going to be the balance of power will be held with the Green Party. So they're going to have a lot of say of what's going to happen moving forward. I say that I'm assuming it's a 1 seat difference between the NDP and Conservative. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
If that's still the case, then of course the Green Party has the balance and whatever. It is what it is. Have fun staying poor over there.
Liam in the chat saying 8 days to resolve the election, and somehow the Gov pulls out a surprise win. No comment. But yeah, interesting times.
Let's go to boosts because we got a few boosts. We got Wartime 333 sats. He's consistent, same amount of sats and same message of just a couple of beer mugs banging each other. So the cheers. So cheers to you too, buddy.
Cheers.
Mo BTC Dick 500 sats. He says, I really think Saylor is just saying whatever keeps him out of the establishment's eye. He's going for compliance for sure. I think we might see his future actions go against what he's saying now. Time will tell.
Time will tell indeed. I'm not 100% sure, but let's see.
Somebody by the name of user 685 and a bunch of numbers. I wish I could officially quote your name, but it's not there. Anyways, 500 sats. He says, you've done yourself a disservice by conflating criticisms of Israel and anti-Semitism. Canadians are separate from the actions of Trudeau's government, and you could criticize one without criticizing the other. Similarly, one could criticize the actions of the Israeli state without being anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas. If you search some of the critics, they're actually Jewish.
Is that about Mike's interview, maybe?
So yeah it was respect to that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't care what your Bronze Age legend is. I don't want to fucking see it on the streets. How's that sound? Is that fair enough? That's what I think. Keep it in your fucking church or keep it in your fucking house and get it off the fucking street. How's that? Is that strong enough? Is that even balanced enough? Pretty sure.
Rander 555 says that, guys, when you say who you vote for is irrelevant in terms of the fiat dollar economy crumbling, you're right. But for freedom of speech and freedom of movement, there's one clear choice. Vax mandates, vax passports, and social media bans made me realize that my personal freedom of speech and freedom of movement are above all else. And yes, I put those two things above Bitcoin. Interesting point, Brander.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I am with you on that. And also I think that the elected or to be elected or potentially elected officials who support one often lend support the other, right? Freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom of, I hate to say it, but I think we're going to be approaching a time here where freedom of capital formation also takes center stage for a lot of people. And those people support Bitcoin. So I think that you can vote for one and get the other more times than not, which is nice. But I agree with the sentiment broadly for sure.
I'm of the camp you could do acceleration or deceleration. Those are the two options for the most part. Anyways, Lightning Mick, 2100 sats. I could feel the FOMO coming. People will call and comment. In 5 years, I've only one half orange pilled 3 people, and I feel helpless as the next bull run starts.
Forget it.
Friends and family will be left behind.
What can you do?
LFG.
What can you do? Like, I don't even bother anymore. I have people in my life who, like, literally, I was saying this on Twitter today, at 100,000 US per Bitcoin, people will message me or see me out or be getting beers with me or whatever. Or, like, you know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for my kid being in school and talking to parents about this when the price of Bitcoin is 200,000, 300,000 or more per coin. And people going, oh, looks like lots more people joining in on the scam now. Like, you're a fucking idiot. I don't know. I love my family, my friends. I don't try and convince them, but they're also not hostile towards it. I think they're just a little gun shy. But the people who are so butthurt about missing bull run after bull run, even though the evidence that this thing is real is right in their face all the time, like, you're dumb and you shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's, let's go hard. I'm going hard today. I am in a good mood. I've had a good day. I had a good weekend. I'm ready to go hard and get some scalps tonight, I think.
Well, 2 more things I want to knock off. Mark Kovalchis, I think is his name. He sends us a super
chat for $2. That's good. Better us than Tim Hortons, I'll tell you that. We'll definitely make better use of that money than Timmy's will.
I appreciate the donation. That's awesome. And the last thing, I did meet up with 2 people that are going to be, well, they're pre-coiners. One's a pre-coiner, one's got just a little bit already. And we missed meeting him. He was at the Rockstar Real Estate event in October. He was there. His name is Jay. I'll just say Jay. Yeah. And cool guy. And his buddy, I don't want to say R. It was really good to talk Bitcoin. So, we are winning one conversation at a time. We're winning.
For sure. 100%, man. 100%. No doubt about it.
And Jay listens to the show every so often.
Jay, what's up, man? Good to talk to you.
So yeah, we'll go from there.
I guess
anyways,
on behalf of Len, it was good to talk to you. I didn't talk to you, but all the same.
And that's it from my side of things. I'm not sure if you have anything else you want to just check off the list.
I will tell you guys now, since I may forget on Monday, I'm going to be taking a hiatus from the show for about a month at the beginning of November for reasons that I'm not going to disclose, but you can probably figure it out. So you won't see me for a while. But Len will hold it down. We'll have some very special guests, friends of the show, coming on to do some co-hosting, do some interviews, all that stuff. And then in December, if all goes well, I will return probably with a little bit more fatigue and maybe a few more gray hairs, and we'll get this thing rolling again.
Just make sure you don't have the bags under your eyes. That's all I want to make sure.
Did you see StreamYard? StreamYard added a bunch of new features today, and I noticed that in the video section, I think I can probably still do it. In the video section, you can. There's a touch up my appearance button. Let's see if it works. Okay, we'll try it out right now for video only. Oh no, I have to do it on that computer. It's too far away. I won't do it. But yeah, they have like touch up your appearance. They have like
that is so fucking like
I know. I know. It's great though. Like you can truly do anything. So listen, next time you see an e-girl talking about Bitcoin on Twitter, just know that she could be using the touch up your appearance feature and have that thing turned all the way up to 100. So stay away from that. Oh, yeah, one other thing. Dan Wedge, if you're listening to this program, send me an email, okay? Because I talked to Len. I want to set it up, the thing that you've discussed. I'm happy to do that, but you have to send me an email. You have my email. Use it, and we'll talk this week about that.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go into the show.
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Love it. I'm fucking hyped on this. This is great.
I'm not sure which one of you degens is the one that proposed this thing, but it's they're saying an assessment of investing in Bitcoin. That's what's being proposed, and it's gonna be voted on in the next while. This shit is fucking great. But even though this is being proposed, the board is rejecting this.
They are suggesting that shareholders vote no. Yeah.
Yes. So if you want to look at the list of no coiners of the week, just simply go look on the list of the board of directors for Microsoft, and there you go. That's a wonderful list of no coiners of the week. And for those wondering, Microsoft, as of June of this year, cash at hand, Joey, they had $75 billion from what I gathered.
A lot.
75 billion. So if they decided to move that all into corn, according to Lenmath, that's around 1.1 million BTC. Yeah, that's at $67,000 per coin. I did that math yesterday. things change. It's now 70,000-ish, so it's obviously going to get less. They should have bought yesterday. But they're not going to move all of that. In fact, they're going to move none of that. This shit's not going to pass. But at the very least, this thing is being discussed. And that's the thing.
Why do you say it's not going to pass?
Why would it? Well,
do you know how much? Okay, there's the big argument that I've seen online. Okay. You know, you give it to me. You know what it is. I
don't give a shit even if it passes. This is just an assessment.
Yeah.
So the assessment, it means nothing.
I know.
It's just going to look at, they understand Bitcoin. They've been accepting Bitcoin for a long time and for payment. So they understand the properties. In fact, the company's management has said past evaluations have included Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies amongst the options considered. And Microsoft continues to monitor trends and developments related to cryptocurrencies to inform future decision making. They've been looking at this for a little while. Furthermore, Michael Saylor, not sure if you saw this one, he trolled them, I think.
Oh, yeah, I saw.
He was recommending that the CEO of Microsoft get in touch with him for advice on potential investment. He says, if you want to make the next $1 trillion from Microsoft shareholders, call him. Pretty funny stuff.
I think that this is at least the beginning of something big for Microsoft. If you think that Bitcoin investing is big, this is potentially beginning of something big. Two reasons for this. Number one, Microsoft, they're in their rationale for telling the shareholders to vote no. They're basically saying, look, it's not about, this is only a suggestion, as you mentioned, to review this possibility. We should be investing in this stuff. Should we not invest in this stuff? Fine. But the thing is that the shareholders are not just average people all the time, right? You know who owns about 8% of Microsoft?
It's mentioned in the chat.
Is
Liam.
it?
Yeah. If that's the one you're referring to. If not, what? Liam's BlackRock.
Yeah, BlackRock owns, I think it's 7 3/4, something like that. Quite a bit. And so, you know, if BlackRock owns some, Fidelity owns some, all these other issuers own some, you know, suddenly you're at 14 or 15%. And those people are active voters, right? You know, the proxy vote is there. Those guys are not going to miss an opportunity to guide the board. And they may have members sitting on the board, right? They may have proxy directors. And so I think that you're heading this direction. Now, the question for me isn't about, you know, are they going to review it earnestly? As I mentioned, they say they've already reviewed it. They're always looking at different vehicles, blah, blah, blah. The last time they reviewed it probably was before the ETFs, if I had to guess. It was probably less than 50,000, if not even fewer than that per Bitcoin in terms of US dollars. And it would be, I think, you know, an interesting sort of shift in terms of, if I think about like a SWOT analysis, right? Like the weaknesses and threats, the two pieces of that analysis, there's not a lot of bullet points there now, right? The legal framework is kind of clearing up. Assuming you get a Trump presidency in a week or a week and a half, whenever that election is, and then, you know, you kind of start seeing the winds shifting this way. Not to mention that the long bond is telling you inflation is going to return in the United States. You know, this real money now telling you that interest rates are going to go up here, the US, all over the place. And I think people are looking for ways to invest in stuff. You got guys like Chamath on All In. He's talking his book a little bit because he's a Bitcoin guy, an investor, I should say, maybe not a Bitcoin guy like you and I would be, but like this idea that people are just going to take 6% in the S&P or try and do VC deals or try and do, you know, real estate or try and just use like, it's not going to work anymore. It's not. And new market participants are coming in. New companies are looking to get into Bitcoin. You're seeing the Bitcoin balance sheet strategy work now at a level that probably wasn't active the same way that it was the last time these guys reviewed it. And I think this is the beginning of something. Like, don't forget too, like anecdotally, do you know there's a picture of Satya, the Microsoft CEO, having a meeting with Adam Back and Samson Mao, who I think is a con man, but Adam Back is not a con man. These guys talk about Bitcoin, and Microsoft is always looking, like every company, to maximize its treasury. And so, yeah, you can do buybacks. Yeah, you can do R&D. Yeah, you can do all these things. But at some point, you know, that invitation, the water is just a little too nice to stay out of it for much longer, right? And maybe at 70K, it's warm, but fuck, it's going to be real warm at 100K, 120K, whatever, right? If they wait another 6 months. We'll see, but I think this is a bigger deal than Bitcoiners are making it out to be. And it's easy to say they're not going to do it. It's easy to say they're never going to get it, but at some point they're going to get it. And these companies have made a living off getting it first, you know? And so they're not first. The front of the line is still pretty close to where they are. And I would expect to see one of these guys figure this out and make an allocation soon. Soon TM.
They have to obviously appease the board, shareholders, and so forth. It's a huge hill to climb.
Who's on the Microsoft board? I'm going to look this up. Keep talking.
I took a look at I just briefly took a look at, led me to a 2013 page where Bill Gates was still on it. And I just fucking closed it at that point because I wanted to see the no coiners of the week. And if I just gave I at that point I gave up. But the thing with Microsoft, should this assessment go through and then, you know, whatever amount of time it takes for them to actually purchase it, okay, anybody could buy Bitcoin, anybody could sell Bitcoin. I can't do anything, and nobody could do anything for preventing anybody from buying, selling, moving it, whatever. This is a decentralized thing. But man, like if you want to see a company fail, Microsoft might be one of the top for me, because if they somehow get Bitcoin now before everybody else does it, it just solidifies the fact that users are still going to be stuck with using shitty products for the next 100 years. Because, you know, Windows is not going to go anywhere, but it should go somewhere fucking down the toilet. But you know what? If they get it Bitcoin now, or rather soon, you know that Windows is going to stick around and we're going to be using the subpar product for at least some time. Fucking thing sucks. Every time I fucking turn on Windows, because I have to do it for fucking work, holy fuck, it sucks shit. And I can't believe how fucking backwards it is compared to, say it, Linux. I know Linux isn't easy to use, but the fucking thing works so much better. It's like Bitcoin. It's harder to use, but it's fucking superior in so many ways. Fuck Windows, fuck fiat, and I hope they don't buy any Bitcoin. Let's let them rot in hell.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their board. I'm not particularly hopeful this group will vote for it on their own, but they, you know, maybe need a nudge.
You want to give some calls?
GlaxoSmithKline, Reid Hoffman's on the board. Who else? I mean, Reid Hoffman is, you know, is he Silicon Valley? Maybe he was at the very least. Who's this guy? I don't know. ADP.
They're all jabronis, you know.
They're jabronis, but you're looking for links to like high flying, you know, new money.
They get in when they get in.
Citibank. The CFO from Citi is on the board. Like, that's probably not good for Bitcoin. Who else? The Gap CFO is on the board. Probably not good for Bitcoin. Get independent directors. Who's Mr. Scharf? Yeah, president of Wells Fargo.
There you go. Probably not. Talk about no coiners. Citi and Wells Fargo, buddy.
Listen, Larry.
That's why they're fucking
Larry Fink. No. Larry Fink. I want to speak directly to you. You will need to get somebody on this board, and you will need to get nudes of all these people if you want to get this passed. No, but I think if anybody can do it, Larry, it's you.
No, they had to have traveled to some island. I think that's the only thing.
Well, what's his face? Musk thinks Reid Hoffman's worried about Epstein's island. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
Hey, I didn't say it was that island. Anyways,
okay.
Let's talk about some breaking news from Dennis Porter this past week. Breaking. He's managed to convince lawmakers over there in the state of Pennsylvania to pass what is called the Bitcoin rights. Not sure if you saw this Bitcoin rights thing. Yeah, it allows people the right to self-custody Bitcoin and rights to use Bitcoin as a payment, a method of payment. I mean, do you have any thoughts on this?
I like it because people give Porter a hard time, but you know, he's doing a lot of good work getting legislation in front of people who can actually sign things into law. And I think at this point, there's two kinds of Bitcoiners, right? There's the true anarcho-capitalist Bitcoiner who doesn't care about the law and actively disparages lawmakers and whatnot. And then there's the Bitcoiner who doesn't think that lawmakers understand or care, but still, you know, has a desire for the correct laws to be implemented. And, you know, Porter does a good job in terms of there's a kinder way to put this than what I was going to say, because I don't mean to be insulting to Dennis. He's been on the show. I really like what he's doing. The bills are kind of vague and soft, and they're not really specific in a lot of cases. And they give, you know, codified rights in a way that kind of is redundant in some cases to things that are already codified. But what you're getting is lawmakers talking about, debating about, writing about, and signing laws about Bitcoin. Now, I know there's some crypto stuff in there too, whatever. These are the breaks. These are the sort of, you know, this is us taking the good with the bad from time to time still. If we're gonna say that we're early, then we have to take some of these lumps from time to time with lawmakers. That said, the alternative is that someone else who has more pull, will be more pointed, who has more money, deeper pockets than Satoshi Action Fund, like Wells Fargo, like Citi, like one of the banks, like JP Morgan, whoever, right? Like these guys would go in there and say, instead of codifying Bitcoin custody as a law, we actually want you to make it difficult for people to hold and use Bitcoin because it's affecting our bottom line. They've tried to do this already a few times. States seem to be, I don't know, a little bit resilient to those attacks, to be honest with you, more resilient than I would have told you 5 years ago. But all the same, it's hard for me to say anything negative about this. It's great, I think. And like, you can say all you want that lawmakers are not going to engage with us in good faith. I say that all the time. I don't need them to engage in good faith. I need them to sign legislation that's good for us. This is an example of that. Perfect. Now we can move the ball forward. The same way that companies will sue on the lowest rung of the ladder, individuals or other companies that they view as threatening or harmful to their bottom line or infringing on IP or whatever to set precedents. I think Satoshi Action Fund is doing something similar. Start low and just keep chipping away at the legislative body and get greater and greater impact, greater and greater influence. It's hard to go from no legislation to Bitcoin is legal tender, but it's easier to go from Bitcoin self-custody is a right to everyone should be allowed to buy and hold Bitcoin without being taxed on realized gains to blah, blah, blah. And you chip away going up the ladder, right? There's no doubt that that's easier. That's what Dennis and Satoshi Action Fund strategy seems to be. So I don't know. I'm good with this. What do you think? Are you like of the same opinion? Where do you come down?
No, it's a nothing burger. This gives us the ability to do nothing more than we did before. I mean, I can now self-custody Bitcoin now. Like, it's kind of like giving me, they sign a bill and say I could take a shit in my house. Like I've been taking a shit in the fucking woods like a fucking peasant.
Yeah.
No, I've been shitting in my house. I don't need permission to do it. I don't need permission to run a node. This is a decentralized network. And the fact that they signed this, the next government could easily come in and unsign this. It's totally meaningless. And in fact, those are almost direct words from your mouth previously where you said that, because this does absolutely nothing.
Don't get me wrong. I do think that there's a case to be made that legislation like this is like just a headline grab in the Bitcoin world. I get that. I'm not necessarily saying that that's an irrational thing to say. What I am saying is that they're going to sign something about Bitcoin as the price rises, as it gains popularity, as it gains traction. There's no way they're just going to do nothing with it. And so, yeah, I do agree that they could take this off the books as quickly potentially as they put it on. But you're starting to add friction going against Bitcoin, right? That's what you want now. Like the network is going to be fine. It's going to propagate. But ultimately, like if the government tells you can't run a node, you're not going to do it. Period. End of story. If the government tells you can't custody and all your Bitcoin has to be on exchanges, you're going to be a criminal. And you can do that if you want, but that changes your calculus, right? Everyone knows this. Bitcoiners pretend that this is not the case, but it absolutely is the case. I've seen a bunch of you guys at conferences. You're not intimidating. You're not up for challenging the state. You're not even up for doing 50 push-ups in a lot of cases. So this idea that the government tells you something is illegal and you're just going to keep doing it anyway, I think you're full of shit. And so what you want is governments telling you that they're at least going to entertain this idea. If you don't get that, the alternative is that there's much less friction going the other way. And then you get into trouble, right? Then you start thinking about, well, I got to move my family. I got to quit my job. I got to do this. I got to do that. Overall, this is better than nothing. And it means that if we get a negative government, then a government negative toward Bitcoin or state government negative toward Bitcoin, it'll be harder for them to roll everything back to zero and start going the other way against you. There's no doubt about that, I don't think.
Do you remember Napster?
Yeah, of course.
And that was easy to shut down, right?
Yeah.
But you know what's difficult to shut down?
What?
Torrents.
They don't need to shut down torrents. They
cannot shut it down because it's a peer-to-peer fucking exchange.
Here's the best thing. You're actually speaking to my point, because every fucking music cuck out there instead pays $10 for Spotify when they could get everything for free, because there's a tiny bit more friction to get it on torrents and find a way to put it on your phone. So instead, you watch Spotify fuck your wife and you pay the $10 and you get any song you want. the idea that people are going to disobey the government if they really come down on Bitcoin is laughable.
I don't care about the masses.
Should be, they should. Well, the masses is who this stuff is for. It's not for you and me. It's for the masses. You want extra adoption. You want more traction. You want all that stuff. This is how you start to get it. And so
all this is fluff. That's all this is.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
It advances absolutely nothing. And they could say and do whatever they want. The one that would really hurt is the on-ramps. If they could shut down on-ramps on the Bitcoin. But even that, there's still 19.5-ish million Bitcoin that has been mined, and it's in people's wallets. And they can, as long as they have
maybe the question for you is, what legislation do you want to see, or would you admit had meaning?
Is if legal tender or the ability to transact without paying taxes.
So then isn't it natural to say that the legislation right now that doesn't allow those things is negative? Like you want this legislation. You can't have the opposite. So neutral or opposite is against you all the time in Bitcoin. You need it to be in your favor. Otherwise, it's a friction.
It's meaningless to me. It's to me, it's absolutely meaningless.
I don't think it is. I really don't.
The only ones that aren't meaningless, like I said, is if they could shut down on-ramps, because that does have a negative impact for purchasing Bitcoin for Bitcoiners. It's not going to say you shut it down entirely, because peer-to-peer will then take over. But now, for the most part, people want to exchange their Canadian dollars, US dollars, and exchange it for Bitcoin through an exchange and do it easily. Once that is done through legislation, then it becomes more difficult to use. Anything else, good luck. It's a decentralized network, and some people may decide to say, I'm going to just leave it alone. But there's always going to be people out there that will use it. And you know what? People will even pick up and leave to other places where it is being used, and it's something that's valuable over there. And it's not being debased.
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, right? I doubt it. For a lot of people, I doubt it. For a lot of people, I doubt it.
And you know what? For them, enjoy. Because there's more to the world than just where you are.
I should note that I pay for Spotify before we move on to the next story.
See, another, like with Bitcoin, if you compare Bitcoin to fiat, using fiat is so much easier.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Could tap. You could do to use Bitcoin comparatively is difficult, but we buy it and hodl it for a reason. Fuck it being hard. There's something more to it. Sometimes you look at something, it may be more difficult to using Linux is more difficult than using Windows, but fuck Windows. I'm not going to use that. So I choose to use Linux. And there may be more, as you call it, friction to use it. I don't care. There's something that I value more than the amount of time I have to invest to make this worthwhile, to make this that I can make it use easily. Like, we just got to value stuff. We got to prioritize things differently. And when we do, we're in a better position, I think.
We'll see. I agree with you. What's next? What else we got?
River, baby, River, because we're offering a new product. And for people, yield. So people who are willing to deposit their USD into River, this is only for US customers from what I gather. Customers are then going to be getting yield in Bitcoin, 3.8% APY for the time being. And this rate will adjust moving forward, up or down. Deposits are FDIC insured up to $250,000. And this is through River's banking partner, Lead Bank or Lead Bank. I don't know. Either way, we'll call it Lead Bank. No hidden fees or minimum requirements to get interest for this type of account. So you can just even put $5 and you'll be able to get your 3.8% APY moving forward. So I guess the question we have is, where does the yield come from, I guess? But I think this is kind of like a traditional bank where they're, backed by, there's bonds that they're purchasing, and whatever they collect in yield from those bonds, they give a portion of it to their customers. I'm guessing
that's exactly right. Yeah.
So how traditional banks work, and they pocket the spread. But
so you can go, if you go on, all these are above. What'd you say the yield was? 3%, something like that.
3.8% as of right now.
So the lowest bond yield is 4.08 right now. That's on a 3-year. Yeah.
So as the bonds yield changes, I'm sure that
for sure.
APYs. So the cash is not locked up. It can be withdrawn at any time. And so I'm looking at this. This could be a decent product for folks out there that need cash in hand and want to collect some Bitcoin on the side, I guess, because the $250,000 FDIC insured, it's got to give some level of comfort to customers. And unless I'm wrong, withdrawing funds from this, it's a little bit more difficult than withdrawing from a traditional bank, because the process, according to the River website, for withdrawing money, you need to cash out first. So you have to ask for it to be cashed out. It goes to your bank account, and at that time, you're able to withdraw it from your bank. So there's one extra step to withdraw your money, and it states it takes 1 to 2 business days for that step to complete. So is this a great thing? Cash isn't as readily available when it's on River as compared to your traditional bank, but you are collecting some Bitcoin as a result, and it's FDIC insured up to $250K. So it's, there's some good, there's some bad, but it is what it is.
I like that you're not depositing Bitcoin. That's a huge plus for me. I mean, where else do you get this kind of return without locking up? Basically nowhere. So you got to kind of like that. I mean, the other side of that coin is you could just put this in MSTR and get like 5-6% a day and take it out whenever you want.
This is guaranteed 3.8%.
MSTR guaranteed 7% a day.
It would be nice if that was the case.
Listen, I think this is a good idea, because it's clear what they're doing, right? It's just an arbitrage trade. They're obviously getting some kind of pretty decent deal on treasury notes or other guaranteed certificates and just taking a bit for themselves. It's pretty good. Isn't the question though, why wouldn't you just do the same as an investor? Like, couldn't you get a 3-month treasury? I'm pretty sure you could.
That's a good idea.
Right? I think you can. Can individuals buy? I know they can. We talked about this.
But it's not liquid.
That's right. Yeah, no lockup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So you can go. Yeah, you can definitely buy your own. I mean, yeah, the lockup is the big thing. It's not a bad vehicle. I'm okay with this. River's a pretty reputable company too. Good Bitcoin company. I think people are going to use that, and I say, why not?
Let people do it. Because let's move over to Europe, Denmark. And they could be entering into a territory that's kind of scary for Bitcoiners, because a new bill has been introduced that would tax unrealized gains on Bitcoin and other digital assets. And the tax rate would be 42% and would take effect in January 2026.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, Italy. But that's not unrealized tax on unrealized gains, from what I gather. There's more to it, and I want to there's an idea, or there's a thought to why they're doing this, because they say if this is approved, this is going to impose on people, they have to pay taxes on their Bitcoin from the day of acquisition, regardless if they sold their assets. And if passed into law, it's a 3-pronged strategy, because Bitcoiners would have to pay taxes on their entire portfolio by a specific date each year, even if they don't sell.
That's insane.
Investors, this is interesting though. Investors could write off losses on gains from these digital assets, similar to traditional investments. So this could make Denmark the mecca for shitcoiners, because if people are losing, you just might as well go there and just write shit off. And the third is, they said they're going to impose a 42% capital gains tax on unrealized profits, bringing, this is the part that I just want to stress, their digital asset taxation in line with its approach with traditional assets, because traditional assets are currently being taxed unrealized gains right now. This is just basically bringing it up to where it is right now. So it may suck for Bitcoiners, but right now within Denmark, from what I understand, they're not being taxed as per traditional assets. So it's just putting it in line with other traditional assets. Don't like it? Great. But you know what? If you are in Denmark and you're just an investor, you're subjected to this anyway. So rather than giving some benefit to Bitcoin, it's saying it's treated the exact same. I can understand that. It does suck though.
Get out of Europe is the answer. Europe is a total joke. Yeah, all caps in the chat saying Portugal. Obviously, there's like certain European locations that are not bad, but the EU is just such a fucking joke. They're so desperate for tax money and so desperate to stop people from leaving and amassing any wealth that they are just so obviously showing all their cards. The number of places in Europe that are now, what is the best way to put this? people are concerned about the exit taxes in these jurisdictions, right? We've talked about California doing it like a state in the United States. The US has an exit tax. Canada has an exit tax that's going to become more abrasive and harmful, I think, over the next year or two, if I had to guess. And so all these places have exit taxes, and everyone's saying, oh, you don't want to be part of this, the wealth tax, this and that. Man, you really got to look at the taxes that are being levied against your earnings and your investing and all these things. You don't have to worry about the exit tax if everything you make gets cut in half before it even makes it to your pocket. Don't worry about the exit tax. You'd be fine. You're not gonna have anything left to take anyway. It won't matter. And so this idea that like, and all caps in the chat saying never sell. No, man, these guys, they're not going to wait for you to sell. They're not going to wait. They're not stupid. They know that the inflationary game is pumping your fucking bags, no matter what your bag is. It's everything from fucking Pokemon cards to mansions. And they know it. And so they're not going to wait for you to sell your shit. They're going to ask you to declare. And even
too late, I lost it all. I gambled it away.
It's good luck. Good luck with that too.
I gambled it. It's gone.
I wish everyone who does that the best. But again, like, you think the state is oppressive now. Wait until there's a real problem with currency. Wait until there's a real problem with stability. Wait until there's a real problem with war. Then you're going to see what an oppressive state looks like. And this is why we talk about it on the show. This is why Bitcoin is important. If you don't understand that you need a stateless money because the state is just massaging your feet enough that you're comfortable, you're never going to be ready for when the state eventually becomes hostile. And Len, on a long enough time horizon, the state always becomes hostile. This always happens. Why? Because the state always fails. There's no two ways about this. And so your home, your equity portfolio, your first edition Shadowless Charizard PSA 10, they're coming for all that shit because anything of value is going to make their lives easier and your life harder. And that's how this goes. And so don't wait for them to say, oh, we're coming for unrealized gains now, right? Don't wait for them to say, we're raising the exit tax to 80%. Take note when they say there's going to be a tax coming on unrealized gains above $1 million. Take note when they say we're no longer going to exempt your primary residence from tax.
So would you say we should be investing in MSTR then, as an example?
I'm a big MSTR guy, as you know.
But so how could you do one thing and then say another?
You don't know what my timeline is on MSTR. Could be tomorrow. Who knows, right?
True.
It could be tomorrow. That's a risk. That's a risk that I'm taking for sure. But I'm also amassing a sizable Bitcoin position that is not going to be MSTR. I'm not going to have to worry about Mike Saylor with another black satin shirt with one too many buttons undone on MSNBC talking about his fucking stock. Yeah, I'm not gonna have to worry about that.
Exactly. See, now with all that being said, you don't know what the future holds. There could be something, a black swan event that just changes everything moving forward. Why even bother risking it at all? Just for picking up the nickels in front of the steamroller. Just buy corn, put it on the cold storage. You're laughing at that point.
The MSTR versus corn is in all my group chats right now. I am not going to do it with you. I'm not doing MSTR. I will shut this fucking thing off. For me, I will go pour another chocolate milk and I will watch LeBron on TV. Just to spite you.
Bronny in the G League or whatever the fuck they call it. The fact that boy couldn't make it.
Me and Alex from Bull Bitcoin.
How old is he?
He's like 19. Me and Alex from Bull have an ongoing like chat. Like we have like a signal DM and it's all sports basically. And we both are hyped on Bronny having to go to the G League. He fucking sucks. So
like
I love it.
Whatever.
Listen, in terms of this tax, though, just like don't, and like you use the term black swan. It's not going to be a black swan. It's going to be a regular swan. There's going to be a gaggle of swans marching across the street. And eventually you're not going to be able to move your car anymore. Like you're watching one swan cross, then the gaggle comes. Okay. It's a parliament of swans, whatever the fucking term is for a group of swans. And like, you're not gonna be able to move your car. And then what do? Well, after that, like it's too late, like then you're done. So you got to be ready for this stuff. And that, it's not about waiting for the fucking swans.
Prepare for what's coming. It's easy to see that it's trending in one direction. And when it gets to a point, you're fucked. So don't put yourself in a position that you're going to be fucked. Be the person that's laughing at the people.
Max out your MSTR position.
100%. Just fucking go balls deep into that. Sell everything. Leverage yourself up to the
I
tits
have some
with
hilarious
MSTR.
like degen Bitcoin adjacent stocks in my TFSA.
The more
like,
just fucking go and just that's
Did
what
you
wanna
see?
do.
I got to remind me after the show to talk to you about an old favorite of ours that had like a 25% day today. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I the only one I just saw is because it shows up in our group chat is MicroStrategy was up like what 7-8% today.
Yeah,
or something.
10, I think. Yeah.
10. Okay, it just saw that there was a picture. They were just showing it off. Like really nice. Core Lightning users, to talk about Core Lightning just for a second, because there's a bug for people that use this. And in case you are a user and you haven't noticed, but it's preventing people from making transactions, at least certain type of transactions. And I want to thank friend of the show and Core Lord guy, Mike. You know Mike.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, he's the one that alerted me of this. And he is a Core Lightning user, and he noticed that he couldn't do transactions. Small transactions were okay, like 100 sats, but when it got to a point of 1,000 sats or larger, it tended to fail. And for reference, 1,000 sats is going to be like 60 something cents US dollars. So like 60 something US. So that's pretty fucking cheap. So anyway, from what I gathered, the people that are using Core Lightning version 24 are impacted. So if you're 23 or before that, you seem to be okay. And for those running it, there is going to be a patch coming out, a new pay version called XPay that's going to help resolve this issue, but it's currently being worked on. But also, Mike has mentioned that you can, gosh, I got to pull that up his notes. You could use a new default method payment called RenePay, RENE Pay, one word. And you could find this if you need some more information at github.com/Lagrang, LAGRANG 3/default RenePay, RENEPAY. And I'll just post this in the chat for people that want to see this, because you can just, in the audio, you can go back. If you change the default payment to the RenePay, it does work. So Core Lightning users, which is, it makes up a decent amount of Lightning users out there, you should be using this or wait for the new XPay payment to come out, and that's going to make your C Lightning working if you're version 24 or version 24. So you know what? Lightning is just not ready yet. It's just too bad, so sad. But the reality is there's so many stumbling blocks that need to be overcome here. And this is another one.
Lightning, it's just not ready. How come he's not running Corn Lightning instead of Core Lightning?
We should got a petition for a name change. How do we submit this to the board?
We got to get on the board. Exactly.
Right? We start recommending it at that point. It should be. Let's see what else we have to chat about. A solo miner, actually a couple of solo miners this week. They hit pay dirt, and
that's crazy. This is nuts. This should not be happening at this point in the game, but we're getting this more and more.
So the one that came out earlier this week, I know for sure it was not a BitAxe user. The second one that came out, I think today, I'm not sure. It may be a BitAxe user, probably not though. But either way, a couple of them hit pay dirt, and yeah, like it just goes to show you, if you're a BitAxe user or a solo miner out there, there's hope for you. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there's hope, right? Like every on average 10 minutes, there's a chance you could win that. That'd be fucking cool.
There's always hope, man. You should be solo mining. I'm telling you, if you don't have a BitAxe, you should be getting one. Get one with our branding on it. Jonathan will hook you up. That aside, though, I love this. It's like decentralizing the hash. That's what it's all about, man. Take back the power, take back the hash rate, and get the Bitcoin.
Wall Street Journal ran a hit piece on Tether. Did you see this?
I did.
So the Wall Street Journal was saying that the federal government is investigating Tether because they're saying that the use of Tether in people are using this in a criminal manner to fund illicit activities such as money laundering and other illegal activities. And according to the Wall Street Journal, an investigation has been undergoing for several years. But Tether came out. Their CEO came out right
Throwing
away.
up the fucking air quotes there.
Well, that's what I don't know what that means. Several years, because it could be 3, it could be 15. I don't
Yeah.
fucking know. It can't be 15 because Tether's not that old. Either way, CEO of Tether came out and said this is all bullshit. This is unsubstantiated. So it seems like it was a hit piece on it. I don't know what's the rationale. Maybe there's truth. I don't fucking know. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't fucking care. But
Yeah.
the one thing I do know for certain, if there something happens that fucks up Tether, the price of Bitcoin is going to take a hit.
For sure.
Temporary. It might be like a week or two.
For sure.
Then it's a good buying opportunity, not financial advice. But yeah, why are they raising this? I don't know. It just seems fucked up that this is coming up by
because they're running out of ammunition. Like there's not many negative stories, negative price pressures now. GBTC is at a zero outflow at this point. There's not much talk about, collapsing exchanges or collapsing services or Bitcoin hacks. The HBO special didn't really knock down the price at all. So what's next? I don't know. We got to see what Paulo's doing. Let's get Paulo into some shit. What are they going to do? The U.S. government's investigating them. Maybe you should have investigated them before they bought $100 billion worth of treasury notes. You ever think about that? Maybe that's something you should have thought about. Maybe that was when the investigation should have taken place, before you did a fire sale of your worthless paper debt. That'd be something. The stops are all going to come out soon, right? They're going to pull out everything they can to try and knock this thing down. I think that the journey to 100K, maybe a little bumpier than any of us are willing to admit right now. We'll get there. But, think about the last year, Len, since the ETFs, right? We're on month 9, I guess, the ETFs. There's like a negative story or a negative flow or an unlock or something basically every month, knocking the price back or holding the price below a certain threshold, like a technical level or whatever. And seen this over and over again. Only recently did we really break out of a, multi-year cup and handle, multi-month wedge, all these things on the technical side. Only now did we break out of this GBTC unlock and, seeing the ETF flow start again, seeing institutionals, support and people discussing this outside of just Bitcoin Twitter. The government is not interested in letting this thing just rip to 100,000. They want it to be a difficult ride, right? Shake out the weak hands. Like Mark said to us the other day on a different topic, it is a big club and you ain't in it. The problem now is there's a key out there that everyone can get. And so they are scrambling to make sure that as few people get that key as possible, even if they have to let a few new people into the club. I think that's the stage that, Wall Street, government, banks, that's where they are now. I think.
That's it for Bitcoin related news. We're up to an hour.
Good. That was fantastic.
Transition to notables.
Sure. Let's transition.
There's a lot of fucking notables today.
What's going to be very notable tonight? We're going over to the other half of the podcast. If you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you're on whatever platform you're watching on, stay here. And if you're listening on audio on the podcast feed, the rest of the show will come out tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourself.
And don't be a cock.
5750 is the number.
But not the price of Bitcoin.
No, are we at 70K? Where are we?
Well, we're 867,000 with respect to the block height.
69.9. Come on, boys. Let's make this happen.
Push it over that.
Well, the daily closes at 8, so there's always some volatility around that. Let's see where we end up by the end of the show.
Oh, let's talk about some late stage fiat. Because
I love it.
I love late stage fiat.
Shout the friend of the show, Massa Capital, who loves tweeting about late stage fiat.
So this, Jesus fucking Christ, this story, because it just shows you how bad the economy is going. According to a study, Joey, 12 million people in the US, 12 million, are in business of influencing. So if you do the mathematics, that's 7%.
Does Mr. Gnome know that? Does Mr. R. Gnome know that?
He should be aware. If you equate this to the amount of the percentage of people working, 7% of people working in the United States of the overall workforce are peddling shit. Kind of like us, right? But these
I'm a known shit peddler for sure. Yeah, definitely.
But these are full-time people, but they're delivering, like, in my opinion, fucking zero value to the economy, right? Like, what are they producing? What good are they like, it's fucking nothing. 27, if you look at the amount of paid content producers in the States, it's 27 million. So
what's paid? Does it have okay, so I saw this story, but there's no threshold for paid. That was one thing I didn't like about the story.
They say working at a full-time capacity is a 12 million people. So that's your only job.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that though.
They say that the average creator, according to the study, was making an estimated $93,000 US per year in 2023. So do the math here, right? Like if you look at how many young people are identifying themselves as homosexuals, right? That's going up. It's trending up quite a bit. And you look at all the people that are now being influencers. I think by 2030,
Oh boy,
95% of the people out there is either going to be either one or the other, right? Maybe both. Maybe there's going to be scrot, but like that's essentially it. It's going to be society. Either you're going to be, enjoying the same type of people that are, that you're born as, or you are an influencer. Like it's, shit like this. Like we're trending in the wrong direction. Remember Tom Vu, man? I remember that guy, and I used to laugh at that fucking guy.
Who's Tom Vu?
Tom Vu used to do the infomercials, and he used to peddle his shitty real estate shit. And I used to laugh at that. But you know what? I look at that and I long for those days. Those days actually made fucking sense. Tom,
you deserve to be broke.
He was the best. He used to go on TV. He used to go on his boat, his yacht, and he used to be surrounded by these women.
He's got tons of chicks around him. Yeah,
always. And he used to berate people. You are nothing. Look at me. I'm rich. You are. And that's why he used to show people to come to the seminar. But that's the shit I fucking long for. Not this influencer fucking culture we have here. 7%, Joey. Like that's a significant amount of people.
It is for sure. For sure it is. I'll tell you a story, okay? The influencer game, I think, is driven by a real there's a testosterone deficit in the modern world, okay? And I am convinced that the influencer sphere is totally driven by this testosterone deficit. It's everything from men
Tom
watching
had a lot of testosterone. If you
this guy's full of tea. He's got a lot of free tea. This guy. I'm looking at a couple pictures of this guy. This is like, oh my goodness, this guy's all dimes all over the place. So his nickname on Twitter, by the way, Tommy, so original, high tea guy. So the problem is like these guys with low T they're driving this like viewer economy, right? They're watching people play video games. They're watching people tell them how to dress. They're watching people tell them how to work out. They're watching people tell them how to invest. They're watching people tell them how to go on dates. They're watching people tell them that they can get any girl they want. They're watching people tell them how to buy a house. It's watching, because you don't have any testosterone to go out and fucking do it, right? Have some more eggs, get to a 225-pound squat, and shut the fucking computer off. That's number one. There's another side to this. That same influencer economy driven by the low T also has this sort of a softcore porn side, right? Every influencer, it looks like now, who's not a man is either like, especially if they're if it's stuff that's geared towards men, there's always tits out. Like Twitch streamers, sending videos out or shooting videos or whatever, or streaming from hot tubs. Like that's not video games. And you can be an influencer because the state will provide the guy with the low T enough money to give you as a Twitch streamer, and it scales so well. You can be every loser's girlfriend from the hot tub for $5 a month. And if there's 100,000 losers, you're fucking rich as fuck. You're rich as fuck. And so why wouldn't you want to be an influencer? The third prong is that as guys become, this is like now me on my men's, red pill platform, but whatever, fuck it. As guys become bigger losers, the quality of shit they'll watch goes down. And so you get worse guys telling you how to go on a date, worse losers playing video games, and worse girls in the hot tub. And it drops the bar for who can be an influencer because the viewers are such loser weirdos. And so over and over again, you just get in this virtuous circle. And before you know it, everybody gets it. Everybody's cucked by the hot tub streamer, right? Like it just never stops. And so you wonder why this is happening. I'm telling you, there is something to my proposed electoral reforms, okay, where you must be able to squat 225. I've heard some other suggestions, like you have to be able to change the oil in your car, or you have to be able to shingle or put up a sheet of drywall. Any of these things will do. But the idea that we have this whole generation of guys, and it's specifically men, I think, that are the core of this problem, not women. This is like now we're into a mating strategy thing. But again, fuck it. It's guys at the core of this problem. And guys need to dig us out of this by becoming better at being men. And they're just not doing it. And they don't have to do it because the girlfriend in the hot tub is $5 a month. And you can just go full Diddy and start tugging your shit in your basement 5 nights a week. Your parents are afraid to come down because it's your space. They don't want to invade. It's all a mess. It's all a mess. We got to bring back bullying. We got to bring back parents kicking the fucking door down when you're in there with the lights off for too long. And we got to bring back dragging people to the gym, kicking and screaming. Bring back the rope and PE class. I see a couple people in the chat. We need to bring back nicotine. We need to bring back steaks. All that stuff has to come back, or we're going to get the economy you're describing down the road as those curves rip up and to the right. Everyone's either an influencer or the other one. I won't mention it. YouTube will probably ban us, but you get the idea.
I think we're already banned. Not sure if you saw this. Like, if we're still on, it's just a fucking blessing. I think they just missed us. We had a bank fail a little over a week ago. This fucking flew.
Yeah, you're saying. Yeah.
Like the First National Bank of Lindsay. I don't mean to laugh, but that's the one that failed. October 18th, it collapsed. And this is according to the FDIC website. The First National Bank of Lindsay was closed by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. FDIC was named the receiver. No advance notice was given to the public when the financial institution was closed. So it was closed and taken over by FDIC because of suspected fraud. And it was FDIC insured, and it's going to cost, FDIC is going to shell out $43 million to make people whole. Where the fuck this money comes from? Well, we know. And apparently the bank was, according to the FDIC, identified as doing false and deceptive bank records and other information suggesting fraud that revealed depletion of the bank's capital. So there must have been some sort of bank run that they didn't want to disclose. I'm wondering, is there a public ledger out there that may prevent this type of thing? Like, you know what? I'm wondering. There's got to be. If it ever comes to mind, I'll let you know. But they say people that have in excess of $250,000 in their accounts, they should contact the FDIC to make an appointment to discuss their deposits. So, like, could you imagine calling the FDIC, right? Like,
what's the hold music at FDIC?
Yeah, FDIC. Okay. Yeah, I lost all my fucking money. I had $4.5 million in the bank, and tried to withdraw a couple of million. I wanted to go to Costco to buy some food.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the ATM told me to have fun staying poor. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Some Bitcoiner was laughing. What could I do?
Please what are you gonna do? Please send help.
I don't know. Like, this is just the beginning of many. There's actually a list. You could go on. There's FDIC list that is being administered that shows all the banks that have failed to date to this year. The Republic First Bank, DBA Republic Bank. That's one full name, that April this year. And this one, the First National Bank of Lindsay. Last year, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them last year, if you recall. There's going to be a bunch more coming up.
Yeah.
Right. This one, it sounds like it suffered a bank run. And that's scary. Like, your money, like I was trying to tell people, your money, when you put it in the bank, it's not your money anymore. It's somebody else's because they lent it out.
Officially, it's not even like they try and hide that. People don't often talk about it, at least not outside of Bitcoin. But yeah, this is like a fact. It's a fact of the matter. It's how this thing works. The whole Ponzi runs on that principle. When you call the FDIC, this should be the hold music, I think. Are you ready for this? This is going to absolutely thump. Okay, are you ready? Hold on. Hopefully you can hear this.
We're going to kick that off, right? Sir, if you could please submit the papers in triplicate and make sure that they are submitted between the hours of 1 and 3 p.m. only on Thursdays, you will get an answer back within 6 to 8 months. Thank you very much.
Why is that the most dog shit quality?
It's terrible.
That elevator music is so good. I wish I would have found that before. But anyway, yeah, not great. Stay away from banks. Banks are harmful. Harmful to your health.
The World Bank, I didn't get too much information of it. It just got like this snippet of it, but it was pretty funny. But apparently they've been collecting climate change funds and $41 billion have been unaccounted for, and there's no clear public record detailing where the money went.
Have they checked in Ukraine? Have they checked in Ukraine?
Again, I want to go back. Like, there's got to be a public ledger that exists that can help alleviate these type of problems. But again, it's kind of escapes me. $41 billion, climate change. God, man, what the fuck? Good for them.
I guess so. Not bad. That's pretty good money if you can get your hands on that, eh?
Yeah. The only saving grace here is that in a few years, 41 billion won't be able to fill up your cards at Costco. So like, if they don't spend it soon, if they don't liquidate it,
billion.
Fuck, that's it.
Went to Costco. Yeah, just 41 billion this week on eggs.
Yeah, they're fresh. Let's go to notable north. I'm not sure if you got wind of this one, but this past week, Humber College, they announced they're going to be closing its commercial truck driving program.
How funny is that?
Why? Why are they doing this? There's a reason, Joey. There is a reason.
Yeah,
and you're gonna love it. Changing market conditions. They are changing.
Just no more LMIAs to drive a truck into a fucking bridge.
No, there's more than it. So this program is going to unwind December 2024. That's over 30 years of operation.
Yeah,
and they're saying due to enrollment challenges in a highly competitive landscape, they're going to be closing down this thing. Really, I don't think it's the shutting down or reducing the LMIAs or like all this. I think it's just there's other smaller alternatives, smaller companies providing the same and they're doing it at a cheaper rate, and it's a cutthroat business.
I think maybe in the most generous interpretation, it's possible that Humber is unwilling to lower the standards to these smaller school standards, and is as a result not getting the same number of people.
So it's competition.
Which is possible. So I should retract my earlier statement, though. There could also be that could also be a factor. I don't know. Like the way I see colleges now clamoring, whining, and it's not just colleges. Mac here in Hamilton is complaining that they're, the international students are a vibrant part of our community. Shut the fuck up. Okay, we'll get to that when more of these universities close. This is not an international student story, but I will note that many people have discussed over the last few years an uptick in erratic and sometimes dangerous driving by big wheel operators. And you can make of that what you will. I think these two stories could be related, right? Where you're seeing standards drop at smaller schools that maybe don't have the same governance structure, same accountability model, all these things, and also don't receive public funding. It's good and bad, right? Hopefully it shines a light on some of these smaller schools, but my guess is that it won't change until we see some kind of catastrophic incident like Humboldt a few years back or whatever, right? It's too bad. People will lose their lives over something like this, but we don't learn our lesson unless we touch the stove, like I said earlier. So expect more change of this nature.
Did you know that universities in Ontario, just Ontario alone, are set to lose $300 million this year?
It's not enough. It's not enough.
And next year they're going to say $600 million in total.
Not enough
due to the number of international students being reduced. So, yeah, that's the problem with that, though, Joey. Is how are they funded?
Public money.
So that's going to have to come from some other pot.
Yeah.
Healthcare.
Well, they'll have to close. They'll have to close. They'll have to fire the entire administrative army and the vice president of, diversity and equity in all these schools, who makes $250,000 a year, encouraging, whatever diversity means that month on campus. The schools are bloated administratively, for sure. That's 100% true in every case. That's true at the municipal level, at elementary school administration, in elementary school administrative pods. It's true at university and colleges, and it's probably true other places too. So there's bloat there. The money they're losing from international students, or whatever they attribute this loss to, I'm sure they try and, spin it in some other way, but clearly we know what the problem is. That money should have been spent expanding operations instead of just basically feathering their nests, right? Which is what they did. It should have been spent increasing the quality of education instead of feathering their nests. It should have been spent fixing infrastructure? Or how about building some fucking homes around the schools where you pushed home prices up and rental costs up thanks to the influx of students? You didn't do any of that. Instead, you tried to pad your own pockets, and now the chickens are coming home to roost. Slowly but surely, those chickens are coming home to roost. And I'm looking forward to more stories like this with much bigger numbers, because these guys deserve it. They totally deserve it. They were on this gravy train. They thought it was going to last forever. They were part and parcel to this idea that anyone saying international students were causing problems was a racist or a xenophobe. They parroted those talking points. They stamped and branded students with that sort of thinking, trying to propagate the scam. And now they got fucked. And so I have no sympathy for them. I hope all these guys lose money. I hope all these guys lose their jobs. They deserve it more than almost anyone else in this whole scheme.
15,000 people, Joey, lined up at Cloverdale Fairgrounds in BC.
Yeah.
And why did they do it? Because they're trying to get their hands on ugly potatoes. There is a farmer over there that grows potatoes, and the ones that are irregular, they have odd shape, growth cracks, or bruises that are just deemed to be ineligible to be sold, were being given away to the public. So pouring rain, 5,000 people immediately lined up to get their hands on some of these potatoes.
Brutal.
Well, 15,000 people were there. Like, that's a sign that the economy is not doing all that well.
Wait a minute. I thought it was doing really well.
It depends who you talk to, but I guess you asked one of these 15,000 people are lining up for ugly potatoes. Like, that's a sign. I mean, I have another story I could follow up, and it just goes to show you, like, just this is the way things are trending. And will things get better? Will food get cheaper or more affordable for people? As things get more costly, will wages keep up? And the people that are shut out right now, how are they going to get access to food? Because at the very least, you need food, shelter, and I don't know what else. Like, that's the bare minimum, I guess, to survive. Am I missing anything?
Sure. No.
So, and if you can't get food, like, that's one of the ingredients you need just to fucking live. And these guys are just lining up. I say, guys, these individuals lining up for potatoes, ugly potatoes. Like, I don't know. It's a sad story.
Potatoes, by the way, not that good of food when they're not ugly. It's like a pretty middling starch, in my opinion. Don't throw anything at me, but I'm not a big potato guy. I'm told all the time that the jumbo rate cut that we got last week is a sign that the economy and economic policy is working. I'm told that the problem is just that I'm not understanding how good things are, right? That I'm not, like, the communication, I'm not being communicated to in a way that helps me, my small brain, understand how good life is for Canadians. Maybe if those people in the parking lot had just been told that they don't need ugly potatoes, that things are going really well, maybe they wouldn't have lined up. But it seems to me that there's more and more stories. Do you have a food bank story this week?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Sure. Of course you do. Of course you do. Why not? Every week there's a food bank story on this show.
Well, the monthly food bank usage in Canada has soared to a record 2 million. And the reason for this is because of higher costs for food and housing and so forth. So people, they don't have the ability to feed themselves with what they are earning, so they're going to the food bank. So an annual food bank survey was done, and in March of this year, it's just March, so things have changed since then, probably trending in the wrong direction. 2 million visits were done in March 2024. And if you do the mathematics, that's almost double that was done in March 2019. And so if you want to do the math, it was in March 2019, 1.08 million people visited the food bank then, and now we're at 1.93 million. So, yeah.
It's a lot.
Actually, that was 1.93 was in 2023.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
But it's going the wrong direction, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doubled it in 5 years, nearly doubled it in 5 years, and the price that is a true indication of what inflation is.
I have an honest question for you that's going to be hard for you to answer, but thinking about this story and comparing to some of the videos I've seen online, they're on YouTube, they're on Twitter, they're there for anyone to see. Again, not to like blame international students for these things, but there's video after video after video, TikTok after TikTok. CBP is on TikTok now, crushing it, by the way. And on TikTok, because of the content of our stuff, when I go to look at our analytics, it just feeds you, like, it starts you on a feed. And on this feed, I see a lot of foreign students talking about how to use food banks in Canada. And on Twitter, I see videos of the same thing. And on YouTube, I see videos of the same thing. And on Instagram, I see videos of, how much of the food bank usage is illegitimate while many people actually need the food banks to live day to day, thanks to the pressures that stuff like immigration, stuff like rising food costs, stuff like all this stuff is putting on day-to-day life, the pocketbooks of average Canadians. Like these are compounding problems and people don't seem to realize. And again, you were called all sorts of names, canceled, forced into unemployment, removed from friend groups, removed from community groups, removed from school groups, removed from schools in some cases, if you're a post-secondary student, for saying that these things would happen. And instead now, you have these stories every week basically about people lining up for bruised fucking potatoes or going to a food bank. What is the situation where finally it'll be enough? Like, when is the straw going to break the camel's back on all this?
It should have happened already.
Are we really that apathetic? Like, it seems like we are.
I don't.
It's not even affecting me. It's not even affecting you. But like, I find myself like raising my voice on this show, raising my voice when I'm at social gatherings, raising my voice alone in my car. Like, I am always at an elevated level talking about this stuff. And why the fuck shouldn't everyone else be?
You know what? It really impacts people is when it's visible to them. When you leave your home and you walk outside and right away you see a homeless person right there, then it's noticeable. Or you're going to work and as you're walking into work, you see a homeless person there, then it hits you hard. And for the people that aren't in those situations because you live in, a nicer area or you go to work to a nicer area of town, you don't see it. So maybe a lot of people aren't, or people are even working from home and are just shielded from this stuff. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But the people, I just wanted to talk about the people that are abusing the system. Whoever they are, anybody out there should be named and shamed.
Agreed.
For taking food.
Totally.
You're essentially robbing.
There's no shame. There's no shame in the people doing it. None. They post videos on how you can do it too. Like, that's disgusting behavior. Disgusting behavior.
Their Bitcoin addresses should be made public, and we should know exactly how much they've been spending, where they're spending it. So yeah, we have to do something about that group of people that are just doing that kind of garbage. Like, whoever they are, I don't care if this or that or like where they're from. I don't give a fuck. Doing shit like that, stealing food from people that need it is fucking wrong. Like that, there's kids out there that are going to school starving, and you're taking food away from that fucking child.
Brutal.
Like, come on. And let's keep on this train here because there's an Ontario man that was granted euthanasia. So they made. And this was because he was suffering from post-COVID-19 vaccination syndrome.
Wait a minute. That can't be right. There's no side effects from those vaccines.
Apparently, this individual, he was in his late 40s. He was suffering and he was in functional decline following 3 different vaccinations for SARS-CoV. And he was twice admitted into hospital, and once involuntarily because he had thoughts of suicide. In fact, a year ago, before he even was euthanized, he even tried committing suicide by jumping off from a high altitude, from a height, right? So he just maybe from a building or from, I'm not sure, but never ended up working for him. Like, this is another one. Like, this is sad shit, man. And I hope whoever, like, these companies that push this shit, without too much testing, like, people like this, man, it's sad to see. And, they used to say if it saves one life, then here's one life that's lost as a result.
Yeah, exactly. I see your comment, Fringe Ginge. I can't respond in text. So, he's asking, I heard about this stuff, but what is post-COVID vax syndrome? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm lucky. Like, I got 2 shots. Like a lot of Canadians, I got 2 shots, not because I was afraid of COVID, but because I wanted my fucking life back. And, I was lucky I didn't have any problems, knock on wood, so far anyways. And a lot of people didn't have the same experience. A lot of people had problems with their heart. A lot of people had problems with their functionality after. This guy was in decline, ended up having to be, ended up going to the self-checkout line. And it's just like, there's a country from 10 years ago where none of this stuff was thinkable. None of it. The 2020, the 2015, 2014 Canada, none of this stuff was on the table. None of this stuff had been conceived of. None of this stuff was imaginable at that time. The mandates, the lockdowns, euthanizing people who can't get healthcare that they've paid for their entire life. The healthcare won't allow you to seek treatment anywhere else. You're stuck here unless you can pay for it yourself. So you basically pay twice. None of this was thinkable. And now, just another week on CBP, just another story on CBP, just another story in the National Post, another guy, some problem, kill him. Don't forget, this is not a story that's, it's significant because of the COVID thing maybe, but don't forget there was an administrator who offered a Special Olympian who asked for a wheelchair ramp assisted suicide 2 years ago. Do you remember we did that story?
Oh, yes.
Like, this is not what first world countries look like. And so again, when we talk about the swan crossing the road, okay, you're not looking for the black one. You're looking for the volume of the white ones. And it's a growing number. That pack is getting more and more dense. Okay? Like, these are all signs that you are in a decline. And you can say you don't realize it, you don't get it, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to start caring at some point. Bitcoin is an important part of this. It's an important part of your exit strategy. Not only if you have to leave the country geographically, if you have to leave the jurisdiction, but just separating yourself from the insanity and the constant anxiety associated with this type of thinking. Like, you don't have to do this. You can just go on Bitcoin, Twitter, shit post, lift weights with your friends, have a couple of beers, go to the cottage, and enjoy your life. You don't have to constantly be around this kind of stuff and think this way. These people they're not conducive to a high quality of life for you, average Bitcoiner, okay? You can do better than this. And Bitcoin is the first step, but it's, I think, one of the most important ones as well.
Canada apparently has been giving money to Afghanistan since 2021.
Nice.
We've learned through this from somebody doing some investigating in Global Affairs Canada, $367 million in total. So what's the government over in Afghanistan? They're unrecognized Taliban by most countries in the world.
Yeah.
So this is according to the National Post. Internal documents state that Global Affairs Canada was saying, quote, this could generate negative media interest.
Could. Yeah.
So the money that's been sent over for humanitarian and life-saving aid. It's 143 million for humanitarian aid, 70 million in development aid. That was in 2023, and also 48 million in development aid, again in 2023 as well. The spokesperson from Global Affairs was saying Canada has continued to provide development assistance to the people of Afghanistan. Man, that's
What have they developed? What have they developed for 300 million?
A runway for their F-15s that they've inherited from
for the parade they had with American military vehicles. Is that what we? Interesting.
I don't know.
And how many food banks could we have stocked with that money? And how many homeless encampments could we have given affordable lodging to? And how many drug addicts could we have pulled off the street and treated? And how many kids could we have given good education and a quality meal when they got to school? How many elderly could we have given healthcare to? How many people on waiting lists who fucking died could we have had seen and treated? It's a farce. This is the end of empire, man. There is no other way to describe this. It's everywhere you look now. And you can choose to ignore it. You can choose to say, Orange Man bad, or Polyev bad, this, that. It doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters. This is the end of the empire. It doesn't matter who's in the throne. The party's over. You got to get into Bitcoin. You got to separate yourself from all these people, these groups, this thinking, these ideas, and start thinking about who you want to spend your time with and who you want to build your either hypothetical or actual citadel with. Because the citadel days are coming sooner than you think. If, in my opinion, I think these things are starting to accelerate, as we like to say. And you see stories like this, and you're just like, oh, another almost $500 million gone to something I'll never see, development that will never be tangible there or here. And meanwhile, there's a guy, strung out on fentanyl on the corner down by my kid's school. That's good. Perfect.
Or
good.
outside outside the office where they had the election.
Yeah.
Remember we had that.
Outstanding. What a moment. Like, that's end of empire stuff.
And
that should be in the fucking history books, man.
I like that he was blaming everything else but the guy behind him.
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing stuff.
Absolutely amazing.
Canada and other G7 nations, they have come to an agreement. Well, I'm going to just lay the table here. When Russia went to war and invaded Ukraine, a lot of these G7 nations, all of them, they decided to freeze Russian assets.
Mhm.
And so they closed off around 280 billion US of assets were frozen. So just this week, it was confirmed that from that, they're going to be sending aid. $50 billion is going to be given to Ukraine for their war efforts. And this is going to be from the frozen Russian assets. Canada is going to be providing around 3.7 billion US from this. So yeah, they're continuing to feed the machine over there, and they're using frozen Russian assets. Now, what this, like, for me, I think this is kind of an orange pill moment more than anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say what they've done in terms of freezing was good or bad. And I don't want to say what Russia did was good or bad. Like, everybody knows what can make up their minds about this shit. But the reality is, it's another indication when it's your money that's put somewhere, it's not yours.
Oh yeah.
But Bitcoin, if you have those keys, it's yours.
Yep.
You can move that Bitcoin anywhere you want. If you don't have them, it's not yours. But this is another orange pill moment. Like, I can't see why anybody would look at this, those people that are impacted, or other people that could be potentially impacted, and just say, why would I continually do it, this kind of stuff, put in a bank and get rugged? Why don't I just buy Bitcoin and I have total control over shit? Like, this is another orange pill moment.
Simple as, man. Like, nothing is yours except Bitcoin. Not your house, not your stonks, not your Twitch streamer, hot tub girlfriend. It's none of it. The only thing that you got is your Bitcoin and your Bitcoin wallet. And you can keep playing these games with states and state level actors and NGOs and multinationals and all the. Everybody wants a piece of your pie, and their fingers are always just hovering above the crust, ready to dip in there. And the more you do this, you didn't want to talk about the nature of the frozen assets there. Whether or not you agree with the asset freezing is not the thing. The thing is that the assets can be frozen, like they can be seized. That's a foreign debt vehicle. Like, how is that possible? Well, it's possible because none of it is actually yours to begin with. It's all theirs, whether you're a country or a guy in the basement. The sooner everyone figures this out, the better. The problem, I think, Len, with people figuring this out and having an orange pill moment is they don't have anything. And so they're not concerned about anyone seizing it. Like, that's, I think, another thing we could talk about in a longer form, show on that topic. But this own nothing is a plague on people understanding that ownership is now at stake, longer term. And it's becoming, I think, a significant issue all over the place, not just here in Canada or in the US, but everywhere.
Let's talk about liabilities, Joey. Homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a story that came out this past week, because now Canadian homeowners that are using their property as short-term rentals, like Airbnbs and shit like that, it's potentially, you could be charged 13% tax when you sell your home. And this stems from a court order that came out. Some dude was using his home, and it is a residential complex. They say that he was operating like a hotel, aka Airbnb. So when he sold his home, after the courts came in, they decided to go against him, and now he has to pay taxes of around $77,000 in GST/HST. And so people that are using their homes for short-term rentals, you're going to potentially be charged an additional 13% when you decide to sell. So there's another reason why people may not open things up for short-term rentals. And who knows, maybe they'll just leave it empty, or I don't know. It just, you look at this, and again, it's not really yours in a way, right? Like you were just talking about it.
It's not. Okay, here's a question for you. I saw this headline a few days ago, but I didn't dig into it. How did this end up in front of a judge?
That's a good question. I know this stems back to February 2008. I don't know the specifics around that, but I think that it was the city itself, the city of Ottawa, or the condo board and over there that was trying to chase him for this, because they must have been pissed off that he was using this as a rental. And if you're in a condo and you see next door just new people over and over again, they're using it as a partying and stuff like that, you kind of get pissed off. You want to take it to the owner, and that's what they kind of did here. So at least they complained to the right people and they took it to. So
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to add to that story. Your house isn't yours. You can't use it however you want. You can't live in it however you want. And the government can decide arbitrarily on unknown, against an unknown rubric that your house is taxable on sale. Thanks for playing. That's it. There's no option for you at that point. You just owe the money. You owe them 75,000, 77,000, whatever it was.
And I guess we could talk about, there was a rate cut this past week. It seems like so long ago, but in the past 7 days, actually it was 5 days ago, I think, that there was a rate cut in Canada, 50 basis points. And this is the third in a row that we had, fourth in a row.
Fourth, 325s and now 50.
So they're aggressive.
Right? Right. You don't do 50s unless there's a problem. That's, just the state of affairs in finance. So what's the problem? We're going to find out. I'll tell you, we're going to find out what the problem is. They know what the problem is going to be. They're looking at some plumbing that's obviously not, in their favor. And they know there's going to be a problem. And we're about to find out what the problem is. Like I said to Mike, I want to live in a world where policymakers are not talking about rate cuts the same way they're talking about Costco hot dogs. I don't expect to see politicians or central bankers celebrating a jumbo rate cut. I don't want to see that. That's not even-handed policymaking. And, we've seen the results, and we're going to see what becomes of this. The question now is what's going to happen in December, right? There's another meeting in November, December. You're going to get another cut. You're going to be down basically 2%. That's a lot. That's a lot. They're unwinding as fast as they wound up.
Well, the last time Statistics Canada reported on inflation numbers, it was below 2%.
Yeah, because because gas is $70 a barrel.
So they're trying to get to that magical 2%. Like that is, and I know it was a very small sample size. It was just 1 month that they got below their target range. But I don't know, 2%. Why is that the magical number? I mean, it's
why that story is that it's just an invented number. It sounded good to the guy who came up with it.
And it's, very simple. Like if I tell you the shit goes up in price really 2% every year, you don't really notice it year to year. But after 30 years, you look back, it's like, holy shit, I used to pay for a car this month. Like, so it's just death by 1,000 cuts. And for things to go up in value by 2% means that the money supply has to be going up at least by 2% as well.
For sure.
Like, shit just doesn't go, everything doesn't go up in price unless the money supply also increases as well. So that's whatever, it is what it is. And they're trying to work on this, the problem that exists. And they're going to keep aggressively cutting. And the United States is also the day after. It's next week is it next week? Yeah, Wednesday next week, I think.
Yeah, it's on Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, I think, is the meeting.
Okay. So
there's a potential, because the U.S. can't count fucking votes in a night. God only knows why, cheating. They potentially are going to have a rate decision meeting without knowing who the president is.
Yeah, it's a very likely possibility, unless there's a sweep. Somehow there's a sweep, and some states that they haven't decided yet just don't matter in the end.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a likely possibility. I think it's going to be very close, relatively close. And as for who's going to win, honestly, I know a lot of people are saying Trump is going to win.
Prediction markets say Trump.
I'm flipping a coin still. I'm still flipping a coin.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say for sure. Just looking at some of the polling now too, you're starting to see some Trump momentum. But I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter. That's the thing you got to remember. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses. It doesn't matter if she wins or loses. It doesn't matter who wins over here. The next 5 years, basically all over the modern world, are going to be unprecedented. You're going to have another tick up in inflation. It's going to destroy economies, going to destroy savers, and you're going to wind up in a situation where people are going to be looking for handouts. And as a Bitcoiner, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. The question is, are you going to have the nuts to be able to hang on to your Bitcoin before you get there, before the flood of money comes? You know, are you going to be the guy who sells at 100K, 150K, 200K? Are you going to be the guy who pays your mortgage because your wife's in your ear about it? Don't be that guy. Don't. Hang in there. Fixed rate debt, especially low interest debt, not financial advice, is good debt to have. And there's not many opportunities to have it. You know, your mortgage is one. Don't dump it because you, whatever, feel like you're getting something right on $100,000 Bitcoin. My laptop battery's about to die. Do you want to wrap it up?
Let's do it. We're done.
Okay.
How come you're not plugged in? Do you never get plugged in?
I forgot my plug upstairs. Yeah, I totally forgot.
I can't believe it lasted that long. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, this is a quality laptop, as you know. Okay, so listen, come back Wednesday for me and Ben Rabbidy. We're going to be talking about a lot of the stuff we actually just touched on tonight. We're getting in some more in depth, and I'm sure Ben is going to have a lot of good stuff to say. He's a very bright guy. You should all be following his stuff. And until Wednesday, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cock.